Hi everyone, my name is Erika and I'm very excited about introducing this topic to you guys because it is one of those topics that most of us probably don't know about, um, but we apply every day at our workplaces or uh, we know of someone who applies them. So the topic today is the psychological contracts. To start, we have our agenda. We will start by reviewing the concept. Then we will identify the differences between an employment contract and a psychological contract. Um, we will go over the four dimensions of psychological contract. We will see what happens when there is a breach in this kind of contracts. Um, we will also review the organizational behavior perspective regarding the topic. And finally, I will give you a few key takeaways um, from what I have learned. I'll also share the references with you guys. I'll share the links for the videos. So if you want to continue learning about psychological contracts, which is a very interesting topic, you can go ahead and check them out. The term psychological contracts was originally introduced in the 60s. However, Denis Rousseau, a North American psychologist, developed the topic in 1989. The psychological contract involves the individual's beliefs in terms of what they think it is fair for them to give and receive in the workplace, um, as well as the set of unspoken expectations between the employee and the employer. Psychological contracts are usually implicit, therefore, they are subjective, they are very broad, um, and they are dynamic as well, so constantly changing. There is nothing like written in the stone, but they can be explicit as well. We will see later on how this can happen. And finally, they involved a high level of reciprocity between the employee and employer. When we talk about the employment contract, it is different from the psychological contract initially because the employment contract is physical. It is a legal document that needs to be signed by both parts. It has legal implications. It also specifies the duties of the employee and their job description, as well as the policies of the company. Okay, let's see what the four dimensions of the psychological contracts are. We have four variables to identify these dimensions or type of psychological contracts. We have initially the transactional, which refers to specified expectations in a short term. Then we have the balanced, which are specified expectations in the long term. We have the transitional for the not specified expectations in the short term. And then we have the relational, which are not specified expectations in the long term. I'll explain. We have the transactional contract. It is explicit. Um, that means it is straightforward. Uh, um, it involves an economic exchange. It is short term and it is specific and narrow. In other words, it's basically I go to work, I do my job, I get paid, and I don't expect anything else from my managers. I don't expect I don't expect them to be like nice with me. I just go to my job and I receive the payment. That's all I need. In the following scenario, we have a balanced psychological contract, which is a hybrid contract. It is very nice because it involves a little bit of explicit and implicit psychological contracts. Um, Therefore, it is an open-ended contract. It is dynamic, therefore it is constantly changing depending on the organization's demands, but it still gives the opportunity for the employees to grow within the company or outside the company. Um, it provides job security, and it involves a highly degree of commitment from both parties. Um, the balanced psychological contract is still focused on on the money in return. So like it has also an economical interest. The transitional dimension is not exactly a psychological contract itself, but it is still an agreement that doesn't involve any guarantees. Um, when we talk about uncertainty, mistrust, and erosion, are basically um, those scenarios where there is not job security, there is an uncertainty to know if people will get fired. Which is basically the same. There is no job security. There is a highly turnover rate. Um, and it happens, for example, when a company takes over another company, or when there is a management change or an organizational change, the transitional psychological dimension can take place. Then we have the relational, which is a fully implicit contract. It is based on values, um, stability, so there is job security, loyalty from both parties, and there is organizational citizenship. So the relational contract is occurs in those cases where, for example, there is an old, well, not an old, but senior um, employee, so someone who has been in the company uh, more than 3 years. Just to place an example, it can happen even with a short period of time. I place an example that it happened to, well, to me. When I started working at the company I'm working right now, immediately it was like it was a relational contract. Since I said I was an international student and I had a certain amount of hours to work, they committed to give me the hours that I needed. Uh, However, because I was grateful um, with them for hiring me, give me the opportunity, uh, teach me about like system and Canadian culture. I I I became very committed with with the company, so I stayed some extra time. Um, I was not only focused in the money, but in the benefits that the company offers me and in the um, workplace environment, if that makes sense. Now, what happens when there is a breach in a psychological contract? Well, as as well as the um, employment contract um, has some consequences and implications when the contract or the expectations written in that contract are not fulfilled. There are also some consequences when there is a breach in a psychological contract. So this happens when the expectations are unfulfilled, or basically when there are promises that are broken. These can lead to well, reduce the trust from the company, from the employee to the towards the employer. Um, the commitment is also affected, the motivation and the performance as well. The Since the person is not motivated to continue working because he doesn't trust the manager, um, there is of course a decrease in the performance. I'll show you guys a video um, so you can have like a better understanding of the situation. Um, so in this case, if we analyze what just happened, everyone thought that the person who was going to get the promotion was, well, the employee who is there. Let's call him Bob. So everyone thought that Bob was going to get the promotion, and of course he was completely convinced that that was going to happen. So let's see why he thought he was going to get the promotion. So what happened in this case is there was a psychological contract. It was um, it was explicit. The the manager told the employee that if he worked, a little extra hard, he was going to get the promotion. However, at the moment of giving the promotion, we saw what happened. So there is a breach in the psychological contract. The employee is not happy. He is demotivated. Um, he will lose his trust in the company, and of course, you won't be as committed as before. Then we have like the organizational behavior perspective. Um, since we have been learning in this course, organizational behavior is basically how employees feel, think, and do. So the psychological contracts are completely related to the individual's behavior. Depending on the contract, the behavior can be positive or it can be negative. So, what I mean with this, um, for example, as we saw in the previous video, um, there was a psychological contract. Um, it was explicit and there was a breach. Therefore, the outcome is negative because the employee is demotivated. In other scenario where um, an employee works hard, um, since the beginning he has been told there are opportunities to grow within the company depending on the performance, um, and he has been working, he has been fulfilling the expectations he has been asked for, and by the end of the month he gets the promotion or he gets salary increase, then the outcome will be positive because the employee will be motivated, it'll be committed with the company, it'll be he'll be or they will be grateful, and they will have more organizational citizenship. Then we have another video here. However, it is basically the explanation of what a psychological contract is. Um, However, it is a bit long. I'm just gonna play it for a few minutes, but I will share the link in the references. So if you would like to watch it, please go ahead or just ask me and I can provide you with the link. Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. Um, but yeah, the rest of the video is very interesting. It is about like the contents of the psychological contract. Um, okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and the topic. I really enjoyed the topic. If you um, want to know more about it, just please write me in the comments and I'll be sending you more information about it. I still will share the references in the last page. Um, I just wanted to share with you guys a few key takeaways. So, a psychological contract is an added value. Therefore, when the employment contract finishes, the psychological contract takes place and are again those unspoken expectations between the employee and the employer. A hybrid model might lead to an organization's higher performance. So basically, what we call balanced psychological contract will lead to a better performance from the employees, less turnover. mm, Less turnover rate, and more opportunities for the employees to grow and to feel to have more job security. Last but not least, assertive communication is fundamental in any case. Therefore, the explicit conditions of the psychological contract are clear. And again, we mention a little bit of the balance contract, which it is actually a very, very nice model. Okay. Finally, I just want to close with a quote by Simon Sinek. So it says that when people are financially invested, they want a return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And see you in class on Friday. Thank you. Bye bye.